Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning, Earthlings. It's time to demand the truth here at First Contact Radio. Let's start off with cosmic weather like we do each and every day right here. We're at the 2nd of August. 2nd of August, sun sign, Leo, fire sign, moon sign. Two of them. Means void, of course, moon. So we look across to see at 11:29 p.m. the second sign, Cancer, will be taking over. So right now we're in Gemini. So the course of this day we're transitioning from an air sign to a water sign. From what is in the head, those ideas, to the emotions, to the feelings. Okay? So just be aware as you're going forth into today, knowing that feelings come into play later on, so take care of the mental work early so you don't have to deal with the emotional problems later. No trines or no squares need to be concerned about. Next, moon phase, 16% full, making its way down to the new moon. Mayan Oracle, we're at a two-tone day. Two tones are called the lunar tones. Symbol for today is the monkey. Guide for today is the knight. So it would be the lunar monkey guided by the knight. The star, like-minded energy, challenges the dragon. Monkey, hidden power for today. And monkey is also the wave spell, the theme of love, loyalty. That's what it's all about. I polarize in order to play, stabilizing illusion. I seal the process of magic. With the lunar tone of challenge, I am guided by the power of abundance. A little more up. Let's see, jump over to our space weather for today. Alright, space weather. Right here. 333.4 kilometers per second, planetary K index. Between a 1 and a 2, coronal holes seem to be about like they were yesterday, just moving around a little bit. Flare possibility the same, 10% and 1%, and geomagnetic storm activity, I think it's gone up just a little bit, 5% in the upper latitudes, but that is about it. Now for a little bit more insight on what's going on with the weather and all this other good stuff. This is Suspicious Observers Report for today.
Good morning, folks. This is one of about a dozen available animations that go along with the newest from Goddard's Scientific Visualization Studio. The aim is to visualize and better understand the eye wall of tropical storms. Now, I've sped this way up, but I've linked the pages where you can download or watch these animations in real time. Terrific article discussing life where internal planetary heating warms the waters. This even discusses Europa and Enceladus. Website members who have seen Chapter 1 of Starwater will be smiling reading every word of this article. By the way, promise kept. Membership is not pay to learn. Not only is the information out there, but I am making my references publicly visible on the links page, aka I did your homework for you and put all the answers in one place. The only thing members get that you don't is my opinion, explanation, and of course, Xavier's animations. Folks, it's really never a bad thing when these stories are brought to light. This is as fair an article as you can hope for on the subject from the mainstream, on the heels of this story 2 weeks ago as well. Good news. All of these are linked at the drought portal via drought.gov, soil moisture, drought severity, standardized precipitation index, short-term trends, long-term trends, and a little animation of our last 12 drought looks to see that we're actually slightly improving. This storm simply refuses to go away. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Gil is still trekking out west, path a bit unpredictable, might take off for Hawaii. India is on the landslide risk because of the torrential downpours. It's just that time of year. But also the warnings now abound in China and Vietnam as a tropical storm is about to dump massive rainfall onto the region. Island landfall is happening as we speak. That same high pressure settling in from the west while that low settles in over New Zealand, gaining the remnants leaving Tasmania. The convergence line remains firm in Europe with evident northward draw ahead of that low. This has got to be one heck of a heat wave building in Europe right now. U.S. shows concentration of low pressure in the central states, set to converge air from due north and due south. Remember in Braveheart when the sprinting lines of soldiers collide? Central states get to watch that from below. Folks, if you missed it yesterday, we needed a proper debunking of that story claiming a chunk of the sun had ripped off and was heading for Earth. If you are at all confused, this video will clear it up. And while I believe today would require attention turned to the CIA man's false story talking about nearly taking a kill shot at Earth 2 weeks ago, Dr. Tony Phillips beat me to the punch and did a little debunk of his own. Indeed, the sun is calm, has been calm, and that story was wrong. Thank you, Doctor. Solar wind? Calm again, calm as can be. KP index barely even giving us readings. Solar flaring? Still quiet. Some of the sunspots are in need of major development, while the central group appears trying to get some of that development underway. The mature region down south is gaining umbral size, but not as much magnetic mixing as it needs in the center. Looks like our big boy heading in up north lost some trailing umbras. Magnetic connectivity to our star is about the same as it was yesterday, shifting to the umbral opening facing Earth, and which contains the coronal holes. They were the impetus for the minor quake watch, which did produce last night actually, registering on many readers. USGS ignoring all of them and disrespecting the seismologists who made the readings. RSOE at least recognizing the 6-pointer. Quake watch score, still at 5 per last night's news, but dropping to 4 likely soon. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:50 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
All right. You know what I was just thinking as I'm watching the news here, and you know, we have so much technology these days that when someone does something out there in the world, it's captured. And so things that used to be hidden behind closed doors, politically and government-wise, they're not so much behind closed doors anymore. We have too many whistleblowers, too many people saying things. So we are a bit smarter because of that, because we can see things. Can you imagine how we were before we had all this technology to be able to really capture all of this? Can you imagine how uninformed we are? Because here we are in 2013 and we have media which is fighting tooth and nail to keep you misinformed, keep you uninformed about what's going on. They are just working so hard to do that. It takes a great deal of effort to misinform others. It's not an easy thing because you have to keep the effort up on a daily basis. So there's a real effort to misinform you and disinform you by the mainstream media. And it's really silly because if we think back, we should be much more advanced than what we were, 10, 20, 30 years ago with our technology. We just seem to have gotten dumber. You know what it seems to be? There's a strange habit with humans, with people on this planet. You like to give up your power to wherever you can. Some of you give up your power to astrology or to tarot or to other esoteric sciences. I don't know why. And then you complain that we're not supposed to be doing this. Well, of course not. And then people give up their power to governments and listen wholeheartedly to what they say. Or they give their power up to the media. On and on every day, people are giving up their power to those who are telling them what to do rather than taking the power for themselves and thinking for yourself. It's a much better way to go, friends. Because if you just keep listening to what they have to tell you, they're going to keep lying. Because they're lying now. It's just irritating. Whenever I hear the lies, whenever I hear the things that are covered up, earthquakes happen, they're not reported. Come on now. Come on now. The world's not stupid. There's a lot of smart people out in the world. and a lot of smart people are gathering information, and then to have some official government body deny that information, and then people say, well, I guess it's not true. Come on, folks. Come on. Of course it's true. We're smart people. We don't have to listen to all the dumb things the dumbasses in the government try to push on people. All right. And yes, if you're in the government and you're trying to push misinformation on people, you are a dumbass. So just to make sure, I didn't want to get confused and think I was leaving you out of the picture, because if you're spreading that stuff, you fit into that category. All right, sun gazing. We're going to continue on today. So you saw a great deal of information this week, right? You've heard some good testimonials about sun gazing. You've heard the gentleman HRM who has this whole procedure that people are following. There's great stories about all the benefits that are going on. So tons more information out there. You can just keep looking up. This was a good starting point for you. Today, it's a two-part piece. I'm going to play a good chunk of the first piece. This is by Danny Wilton. You may have seen a number of his videos before. We've played some of them. He gets into a lot of esoteric information and really gets into the heart of understanding the connection between the cosmos and the earth. So this is a piece called Sun Gazing. It's good for one's eyes to see the sun, in which he really gets in and does a very detailed analysis and a study about sun gazing. Some new information that we hadn't seen all this week. So I wanted to throw this at you, give you as much information on this subject as possible. All right, here we go. Sun gazing. It's good for your eyes to see the sun.
Hey everybody, I was going to make this a 15-minute video, but there's a little bit of material in here, and so I thought I would just go ahead and take my time and go through this. I've been meaning to make a video about sun gazing, and this guy HRM, he's the guy that's been famous, that they apparently tested at universities, and that has gone 12 years without eating. And not that that is the real thing that we need to get out of sun gazing. What's important to get out of sun gazing would be the other health benefits as well. Of course, if you can go without eating, then that's obviously pretty good as well, especially considering today's food sources such as Monsanto and things like that. So I'm not by any means advocating that we stop eating unless that's what you want to do for your own reasons. The point of this video is to determine whether we believe sun gazing is real or not. After he published his results from the universities, there's been a lot of controversy about whether these studies are real or not, and personally I believe that they are, but let's use just a little bit of logic here for just a second. You're not going to find any kind of a established medical research center that's ever going to tell you that you're going to get these wonderful benefits out of staring at the sun, which is free, it doesn't cost any money, and apparently from all of the benefits that it gives you, it would not make good business sense from the pharmaceutical industry to ever tell anybody that they can cure things and that they can increase their health and that they won't have to buy as much food. You can see how all of this is totally contradictory to commerce and people buying things, right? They don't want you to be healthy. What they want you to be is they want you to be somebody who goes through life and is a constant patient taking medications from the pharmaceutical industry, and that's the reason why you see the FDA crack down on the most ridiculous things in the world and call them drugs. Well, this is one thing that the FDA cannot crack down on and call a drug, and that is the sun, because the sun is free to everybody. So just thinking about business and thinking about the way that things are right now, the way the FDA is run, the way these crazies out there are in the pharmaceutical industry, just like they're never going to find a real cure for cancer, it doesn't make good business sense. The only way it's going to happen is people like us doing it for ourselves. Okay? They don't want to cure you. So all that being said, it is not logical to assume that you're ever going to find a published article by some medical industry, some people in the medical industry, that's going to tell you that sun gazing is highly beneficial to your health. And I've looked at a few of these, and of course they all have their controversial subjects about it. So bottom line is, what else can we do to determine whether or not this is the real deal or not? In my research, I have determined that I think it is, and I think one of the benefits of it is I think it opens up your pineal glands. A lot of people are asking about their pineal glands right now. There's all this kind of meditation going on, trying to eat right. Well, if you imagine this, people are talking about don't do this and don't intake this and don't intake that because it calcifies your pineal gland. Well, if the outcome of this thing, let's just say, for example, that you didn't have to eat anymore, well, then you wouldn't have to worry about intaking any of those crazy foods and stuff like that. Of course, you still have to worry about brushing with fluoride and drinking water that has fluoride in it, if that actually does indeed calcify your pineal gland. I haven't done the research to really determine that. I think this staring at the sun actually does it. And the reason I believe that it does it is because when you take a look at the law of correspondence in the Kabbalion, you're always going to see an as above, so below, as below, so above principle. So if we need to reach higher consciousness, and higher consciousness, as we're going to see in this video, has to do with the sun, then there is a law of correspondence that I believe could be applied here. And we're going to see as time goes on. So let me just jump into this real quick. I found this excellent religious sun-gazing site. The reason it has religious in front of that is because what we're going to see here is history. And this is where I'm grabbing a lot of my information from. Since we're never going to see anything from the medical industry, what we kind of have to do is we're going to have to kind of take a look at seeing if we can decipher what these people have known a long, long time ago, and maybe take a look at a different perspective of the way that it's interpreted. There's been a lot of bad-mouthing about the sun and sun worship and all this kind of stuff, and I believe that it's been misinterpreted. I believe that the true meaning is not sun worship, but I believe that it means sun knowledge. I believe that the sun gives us certain kinds of energy, and I believe it also gives us consciousness as well. And if you go back into history, as far as you go back, you'll find that people not worship the sun. They actually, well, let's just get into it just a little bit. For example, the first one we see here is the god Shamash, and he's mentioned in the story of Gilgamesh, okay, in Tablet 10. Now, I didn't just read this one site. What I went out and did was I actually looked for myself. So I went in and took a look at what it actually says inside the story of Gilgamesh. If no one's ever read it, it's a very good story about a friend who loses his other friend in battle, that dies, and he gets upset, and it's just he walks around for years, doesn't know what to do. He finally comes to this lady, and she's asking him why he looks so horrible. It's because he had lost his friend, and so he wants to reach this person. Or this god, Utnapishtim, okay? And he wants to know how to get there. And so we see in the story of Gilgamesh, he says, "Where do I look for signs? Show me direction, please, help. Let me have safe passage over the seas. Give me advice to guide me on my way." Now this is a really interesting thing. She said to him, swiftly reply, "No man has ever gone that way and lived to say he crossed the sea. Shamash only ventures that, because Shamash would dare to stare into the sun." So one could interpret that as, by staring into the sun, Shamash was able to use the sun as a food source in order to cross the seas. And I think it's very possible that this is what's being talked about here. So when we go back here, it says in 307, it says that there is no one else who can see what Shamash only sees that Shamash can only see within the sun. Okay, so now let's apply the law of correspondence, and what I believe is what's being said here is the sun between your temples. Let's take a look at something real quick. I've shown you this a while back. This shows Yahweh, which is the sun, in the middle of the two angels sitting on the Ark of the Covenant. And this also corresponds to the center part of your brain. See the sun The sun right here, this is taken from an old church, I believe in the 1500s right here. And I believe this has to do with the center of your brain. So when it says Shamash can only see, Shamash only can see within the sun, I believe that she's talking about the ability to be able to use your pineal gland or your third eye. And that's what's going on here. Now, let's take a look at Yahweh real quick, because I gathered pictures from around the world, and what do we see about Yahweh? Well, Yahweh is a sun, okay? You can see this through art throughout the history. So don't listen to what they interpret to you in the Bible, these churches. This is the reason I like art, okay? Because art tells so much information that you'll never get. See, here's Yahweh, it's a sun, okay? Here it is again. Just flipping through some art here for you so you can see it all. The triangle, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, represents God, represents heaven. And as I showed you before, and look at this, here's the lamb, okay? And as I've showed you before, see, look, he's pointing to the sun. Now look at the way he's pointing right here. Let me just show you something really quickly. And this is Salvador Dali, Last Supper, pointing the same direction, pointing to the sun. So the Holy Grail that we see in these pictures, and this is old church art right here, it talks about in the Book of the Dead, also the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it talks about cakes and ale. And look what we have right here. We have the sun shining on somebody. This is ale, okay, which has been interpreted before as we have cakes, which is, one of them is intelligence and one of them is love, and it comes from the sun. And so here's some Orion cups, but okay. This is old Pentecost art. What I want you to notice about these people is that they have flames on their head and they're illuminated. What HRM, this guy right here, actually goes into in his presentations, in his presentation here, is that once you do this for about 9 months, apparently after that you're considered like it's almost like a solar charged battery, and you're charged up at that point and you don't need to do it anymore. It's like your battery is charged. And I believe that's what's going on with these people. It's like their batteries are charged now. And what you can see in this art is that, and it goes way back, that the sun, and here's your Trinity again, here's God's hand. This is what you see, the sun is the Trinity, okay? We have two Trinities going on here. We have the Trinity in the Orion Nebula, which is the sun behind the suns, which is the sun god, okay? And then we have our Trinity. And I believe what actually happens, and this you can see this in old alchemical drawings from Athanasius Kircher and other alchemists, is that there is a relay going on between the Orion Nebula and our sun, where it sends our sun cosmic rays, and then our sun in turn feeds us information from that area.
Alright, I'm going to leave it there. There's still some more minutes on this first part, and then there's a second part. Pretty interesting, right? Pretty interesting, getting a little bit more analysis, a little different ideas on what's going on with the process. But you could see it's something that has been around for a long time. There's something mysterious and wonderful about the sun, and the practice of sun gazing is something that definitely opens something up in us. Today I'll be doing 8 minutes. And I'm telling you, it's just something really cool is going on here. And I'm looking forward to more and more time increasing. So if you get a chance to do some sun gazing, check it out. Start out slow. Start out with 10 seconds. Barefoot in the dirt. And look at the sun. 10 seconds every day. Build up 10 more seconds. And see how it works for you. But I like it. I like it. And I'm going to go every day. And so I'll keep giving you updated reports on how things are progressing and so on and so forth. Alright, next up, UFO News.
This is the UFO News. with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. 5 stories today. Story number 1 comes to us from Los Angeles. Says 3 UFOs side by side, low altitude over Philly, Los Angeles on the 29th. This video shows 3 circles, recorded a sky flying over Philly. Okay. I think we might have seen something like this yesterday, or maybe this one here.
They're UFOs. We're gonna die.
Alright, yeah. So we've got these 3 here. Alright, moving along here. This was UFO or meteor empties neighborhoods and streets, California. Unlike trees, when a meteor falls into the wilderness, everyone can hear it. And some Orange County residents think that's exactly what they heard when a thunderous boom rattled windows, scared pets, and startled homeowners from their sleep early Tuesday morning. At about 12:15 a.m., the Orange County Sheriff's Department received 3 or 4 calls from residents in a Lake Forest Foothill Ranch community about a loud explosion and a flash of light. Several Orange County residents also tweeted about the incident, asking about the source of the blast. Entire neighborhoods emptied into the streets in the middle of the night, residents said, with some pointing to what looked like a cloudy path overhead as the telltale sign of a galactic visitor. 7 sheriff's deputies and a helicopter swarmed the area to investigate within half an hour of the reports, but found nothing. Lieutenant Jeff Haylock said deputies chatting over the radio speculated that it was a meteor striking the canyon. The deputies' guess was based on the numerous reports of explosions and flash of light, Haylock said. As dispatchers guessed about the blast origin, Foothill Ranch resident Korosh Toscada heard them chatting about a meteor over law enforcement scanners. Am I hearing this right? The 29-year-old recalled thinking. At that point, it was just kind of amazement. Southern California Edison said there were no explosions in the area. Tuesday morning, the Orange County Fire Authority didn't respond to any explosions, and the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena didn't spot any asteroids, officials said. So what was it? It appears to be anyone's guess at this point. It was very strange, Foothill Ranch resident Patrick Driscoll said. We heard this sound. It was like a big explosion. My wife and my daughter both felt it was right next to the house. Alright? Very interesting. What could that be? What could that be? Here we go. Strange. A large black triangle over Creighton Wood in Scotland. New amazing video footage of a black triangle shaped and recorded while flying over Creighton Woods in Scotland. The craft was above the morning, so silent, didn't see it until the last minute, and didn't realize her finder touched the screen and stopped recording. The sighting near Creighton Woods had her heart pounding. It's not the first time she saw a UFO. Alright, it's a short video here. Alright, you can see when you look at it close up right here. Alright, moving on. Next story here, this is Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who is considered to be a father of ufology. He admits astronomers do see UFOs. This picture here is from July 14th, 1978. United Nations hearings in UFO matters, initiated by Grenada. From left to right, Dr. Claudia Poer, Sir Eric Gary, initiated hearings. Kurt Walden, Austria, Time Secretary General of the UN. Gordon Cooper, U.S. astronaut, UFO witness as a pilot in the 50s. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, UFO consultant, astronomer, and ufologist. And Dr. Jacques Vallée, French ufologist. Okay? So there we go. From left to right. It says Dr. Joseph Allen Hynek was chairman of the Department of Astronomy, Northwestern University, professor and ufologist. He is perhaps best remembered for his UFO research. Hynek acted as a scientific advisor to UFO studies undertaken by the U.S. Air Force under 3 consecutive names: Project Sign, Project Grudge, and Project Blue Book. For decades afterwards, he conducted his own independent UFO research and is widely considered the father of the concept of scientific analysis of both reports, especially trace evidence reportedly left by UFOs. His book, called The UFO's Experience, A Scientific Inquiry. And we have a little interview with him here. I'm going to leave this for you. It's like 4 minutes long. And the last thing here, this is a strange looking thing. A human-alien hybrid aborted. Shocking videos. Photos NSA and CIA don't want you to see. Well, you know what? There's things that we don't want the NSA and CIA to see, and they see them. So if we see things they don't want us to see, it really doesn't matter at this point, because who cares? The photos and videos you will see are supposedly a human-alien hybrid fetus collected from an abortion performed on an Italian woman in 2010 who claims to have been abducted and impregnated by aliens. Aliens first began visiting Giovanna when she was 4 years old. She is now 41. The woman from Italy claims to have been impregnated by aliens several times. Apparently, the creatures removed the other fetuses around 2 months. Giovanna claims that the creatures speak to her telepathically, and they have told her that they want to create a hybrid race that is genetically close to their species. Because we are supposedly biologically compatible with their race, we have been chosen. Or more specifically, Giovanna has been chosen to propagate their race by means of a new hybrid species. Giovanna relates to the aliens visited her often when she was a young girl. At that time, the aliens would use her for research, collecting biological material, tissue, and blood. Their nocturnal visits left marks on her body, along with a phosphorescence material that Giovanna said is something that they use as a disinfectant to prevent her from getting infections from them and to prevent them from getting infections from her. When examined by researchers, the phosphorescent substance taken by Giovanna's room provided evidence that the substance was not natural and that it included no nitrates or phosphor. It was also magnetic. Doctors also found something implanted in Giovanna's head, but could find no scar indicating how the object got inside her head. The object implanted was of undetermined origin and could not be qualified. With her cell phone, Giovanna took photos of the spacecraft and the aliens that are referred to as raptors, or reptilian-like creatures. The images appear not to have been altered. When Giovanna was sent to be examined for her pregnancy, doctors found a cardiac rhythm that was similar to a baby's cardiac rhythm, but they could find no baby. And because Giovanna was having problems with the fetus, doctors performed an abortion. What they found was a placenta and a human hybrid. Alright? And this is a 9-minute video here. All about the whole thing here, and pretty crazy, huh? Look at that. Pretty crazy. That is our UFO news for today. I've got a bunch more stories, so stay tuned. I'll be right back.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth. People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
Alright, continuing on. I'm going to go on to this piece here. It's Brother Nathaniel. I like what Brother Nathaniel has to say. Politically incorrect Jewish news. Let's check it out.
Here's the headlines this week in Jewish news for all of you politically incorrect connoisseurs. In D.C., it's dead on arrival for those Mideast peace talks now on display at the State Department's kickoff dinner. For what better way to get off to a hopeless start than to have the Israeli flag center stage, towering over the din-din table. And that Jewish star remains center stage even when the Palestinian proxy is placed before the cameras. It's a B-movie charade where the actors play their parts. The Palestinians need their budget shortfall bolstered by U.S. dollars, and the Israelis need their world opinion low ratings propped up by a schmaltzed-up powwow at the Wailing Wall. Jewish feminists may be barred again from praying close up before the cracks and crevices of those holy stones. When cordoned off last month for wearing men's-only talits and yarmulkes during their monthly prayer protest, Woman of the Wall's head Anat Hoffman grumpily said, "It sucks." But what's really scuzzy is all that humping going on by the men in black, populating with a Kabbalistic feminist emanation of their strange god, the Shekinah. Where could this all lead if women are given equal prayer rights? Some Jewish feminists might get it into her head that the humping rabbis are a bunch of chauvinists and demand the Shekinah be provided with special safeguards against the rabbis as an exploited female in the sky. Across America, The Boy Scouts face monumental loss of membership after opening the doors to openly homosexual youth. The Southern Baptist Convention has urged its 16 million members to cut ties with the once Christian-oriented Scouts. But the Jewish-led ACLU, which litigates against dozens of Christian Boy Scout chapters for their censure of sodomy, remains unmoved. Why the ACLU never files charges against the Jewish Committee on Scouting for their self-segregating pacts isn't hard to guess. The church is in Jewry's crosshairs, but the synagogue gets a free pass. And in Italy, Jewish lawmaker M.N.B.R.T is up in arms over the magazine rack in the waiting room of country doctor Antonio Valli, citing leaflets such as The Auschwitz Lie, nestled among cooking magazines. Fiona pressure. Here's the headlines this week in Jewish news for all of you politically incorrect connoisseurs. In D.C., it's dead on arrival for those Mideast peace talks, now on display at the State Department's kickoff dinner. For what better way to get off to a hopeless start than to have the Israeli flag center stage, towering over the din-din table. And that Jewish star remains center stage even when the Palestinian proxy is placed before the cameras. It's a B-movie charade where the actors play their parts. The Palestinians need their budget shortfall bolstered by U.S. dollars, and the Israelis need their world opinion low ratings propped up by a schmaltzed-up powwow. At the Wailing Wall, Jewish feminists may be barred again from praying close up before the cracks and crevices of those holy stones. When cordoned off last month for wearing men's-only talits and yarmulkes during their monthly prayer protests, Woman of the Wall's head Anat Hoffman grumpily said, "It sucks." But what's really scuzzy is all that humping going on by the men in black, copulating with a Kabbalistic feminist emanation of their strange god, the Shekinah. Where could this all lead if women are given equal prayer rights? Some Jewish feminists might get it into her head that the humping rabbis are a bunch of chauvinists and demand the Shekinah be provided with special safeguards against the rabbis as an exploited female in the sky. Across America, the Boy Scouts face monumental loss of membership after opening the doors to openly homosexual youth. The Southern Baptist Convention has urged its 16 million members to cut ties with the once Christian-oriented Scouts. But the Jewish-led ACLU, which litigates against dozens of Christian Boy Scout chapters for their censure of sodomy, remains unmoved. Why the ACLU never files charges against the Jewish Committee on Scouting for their self-segregating pacts isn't hard to guess. The church is in Jewry's crosshairs, but the synagogue gets a free pass. And in Italy, Jewish lawmaker M.N.B.R.T is up in arms over the magazine rack in the waiting room of country doctor Antonio Valli, citing leaflets such as The Auschwitz Lie, nestled among cooking magazines. Fiona pressured authorities to investigate whether the doctor's magazine rack is compatible with the country's medical profession. But Valli's clients disagree. "He's an excellent doctor, always willing to help," said one satisfied patient. In other words, the doctor may question the 6 million myth, but he can sure cure a common cold. And that's the way it is. Join me next week for another edition of Politically Incorrect Jewish News.
All right, very good. Sorry about the sound at the beginning. Sometimes you got to turn it up on this end so you can hear it over there, right? All right, moving right along. Obama Hussein, Barack Hussein. I always remember Hussein. Can't forget that one. All right, impeach Obama. Protest set for August 6th. Grassroots groups with thousands of members is planning a nationwide protest August 6th calling for President Obama's impeachment. The group, Overpasses for Impeachment, has gained steam since launching in mid-June and now appears to have a presence in all 50 states. Scores of protesters are on tap. Members are taking to overpasses with major thoroughways during the morning and afternoon rush hour, brandishing signs calling for impeachment. The organization has been done mainly on the group's Facebook page, which has spawned the Facebook groups in all 50 states, most of which appears to have hundreds and, in the case, thousands of members. The group has already staged dozens of overpass protests leading to the nationwide event August 6th. One in North Carolina, covered yesterday by the Winston-Salem Journal, appears typical. All right, here's a video here. Kind of goes along with this, and you can check that out.
J.P. Morgan.
All right, so moving right along. Gun confiscation has begun. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Many planners realize that nothing monumental is quickly achieved, and dogged persistence over time is needed to overcome obstacles in pursuit of valued goal. Nobody has utilized the principle of incrementalism better than the globalists in the pursuit of their goals related to the establishment of the New World Order. Obama is driving up energy costs by shutting down power plants, one at a time. Obama has helped the managed healthcare companies finally rid themselves of dealing with gun confiscation. Obama has helped the managed healthcare companies finally rid themselves of dealing with the gun confiscation has begun. All right. Something doesn't make sense about that. There's something missing there. Beginning with anyway, confiscation has begun in 2 countries' geographical locations. In 2 different counties, the authorities have confiscated guns without probable cause of the exigent circumstances required by constitutional law. But alas, I almost forgot, there is no rule of law in the United States. There is not one amendment in the Constitution that has been left intact. Can there be any doubt that the United Nations is behind these gun grabs? How do we know that the United Nations is behind this beta test related disarming private citizens? Read about the United Nations' intent to control all guns here. I implore you that you need to heed this warning and use it as a guiding principle in the months and years ahead. The United Nations is the enemy of humanity. I have gone this rogue organization, which is controlled by mafia bankers, in my sights, and am planning to expose their anti-humanist agenda, and all will listen to an open mind. The United Nations behind national health care, which is going to bankrupt millions in this country, or result in early demise of millions of people through treatment, exclusions, and denial of care. Alright, and right here, tyrants always seize guns before subjugating the people. Alright, more to the article. You can check it out. Again, this is one of these situations where you've been shown information over and over and over and over and over about gun control, taking your guns away. This isn't the first time you've heard about this. So, the information's there. If at this point in time somebody is still in denial about this going on, all I could say is that person is not paying attention, because the information is there over and over and over. All you have to do is learn to read between the lines. Now, I know a lot of folks out there that we all know aren't taught to read between the lines. They're taught to and conditioned to behave a certain way, act a certain way, not to ask questions. Well, we need to keep asking questions. That's just the way it is. And if somebody doesn't like it, oh well. That's too bad. Alright, turning our attention back to the sun. This is a site called EatTheSunMovie.com. Okay, the synopsis is: Mason is a modern-day sun gazer and the subject of Peter Scorcher's award-winning and suspenseful documentary film that follows Mason on an unbelievable and often hilarious cross-country journey into a little-known world of sun gazing, an ancient practice of looking directly at the sun for a range of physical and spiritual benefits. Throughout this journey, Mason is riddled with uncertainty. Will he damage his eyes? Is the man who inspires thousands lying? Will Mason succeed in his quest to uncover the truth? The captivating documentary will challenge your deepest held beliefs. Okay, and there's a whole long synopsis here. And then you got links here where you can click to watch the trailer, watch the movie now, and so on. Okay, I'm not going to play any of it for you. I'm going to leave that for you. But it's there, so you've got something you could check out. Alright, here's another article that goes along with sun gazing. Wrap up the whole week of this particular subject. Again, benefits of sun gazing. I recently saw the feature film documentary Eat the Sun was inspired to explore the practice of sun gazing. The practice of sun gazing closely resembles its name. At sunrise and or sunset, when the sun is closest to the earth, sun gazers stand barefoot in the earth and look directly at the sun for 10 seconds. Every day, 10 seconds are added, and some sun gazers eventually reach a duration of 44 minutes. The theory is that the sun is the force of all life, and staring at it can infuse the body with large amounts of energy. So much so that one of the sun gazers featured in the film, Hira Ortan Manek, claims to have gone 8 years without eating. He has been eating a steady diet of solar rays and claims that this is all he needs for nourishment. Our ancestors understood the relationship between the sun and health, from the Aztecs to the ancient Egyptians. Many past societies revered sun gazing as an esoteric practice for high-ranking priests and shamans. Today, it is experienced in research in popularity, and sun gazers claim it has benefits. Here we go. 1. Boost the production of melatonin and serotonin. Researchers show sun gazing stimulates the pineal gland as the direct sunlight hits the eye, moves through the retinal hypothalamic tract, and then hits the brain. This stimulates the pineal, which is the master gland, and boosts the secretion of melatonin, our feel-good hormones. Gives you increased energy levels. Modern-day sun gazers say the practice has boosted their vitality. This is probably related to the secretion of the aforementioned hormones. It increases the actual size of the pineal gland. Not only can this practice boost the hormone levels, it has also been shown to increase the size of the pineal gland. Normally, as we age, the gland shrinks. However, brain scans of a long-term practitioner of sun gazing show that this 70-year-old man has a gland 3 times as big as a normal man. And it promotes weight loss. One of the historical theories for sun gazing was that when the body and mind could be nourished by the sun, reduced the need for food. Similarly, some modern-day sun gazers say they have lost excess weight, and some even report a total loss of the desire and the need to eat. Sun gazing is an interesting practice that touches the spiritual and psychological realms, which are very personal things. Everyone is wired a little differently, and this practice isn't for everyone, nor is it something I recommend. If you choose to partake, do your own research, be careful, be cautious, and document your experience. Please let me know your comments and thoughts. Alright? So that's it. That's sun gazing. That is sun gazing, a week's worth of information. Check it out, see what you think. I like the practice. I'm going to continue doing it. And I think that anybody should look into the practice to see what it can do for them. Sure, everybody's body's different, but we're also all the same. And if we take the time to use a practice like this, we not only heal ourselves, but because we are all connected, we ultimately heal others as well. It's a great way to really bring light down into the world. And I think you would really like it if you gave it a shot. I've enjoyed the practice. I'm going to continue it because there's definitely something very magical that happens there. During that time of looking at the sun, something really cool. That's all I could say. Try it. You'll like it. Alright, here's our angel message for today. No need for compromise. Reach for the stars. You deserve the very best. Okay, that's a good one. No need for compromise. Reach for the stars. You deserve the very best. That's always important. And here we have our message. This is Jesus. Here we go.
Jesus, you are rushing homewards, and nothing now stands in your way.
August 2nd, 2013, by John Smallman.
You are racing towards the finish, the moment of your awakening into the realization of who you truly are. You have all been working assiduously for decades now as you make your way homewards towards heaven, your true home. It matters not what word you use to attempt to define your destination, because words are incapable of providing an adequate description or word picture of reality. However, you are shortly to experience the rewards that your sterling efforts have earned for each one of you, and for the rather large segment of humanity that, despite all the nudges, guidance and wake-up calls it has received over the eons, has remained determinately asleep. Every human entered the earth plane to encounter and learn the lessons it needed for it to find and proceed along its path home to reality. And every human is on its homeward path. It is just that many of them chose to proceed with their eyes closed, in a rather ill-advised form of sleepwalking. They have experienced illnesses, accidents and losses of loved ones, but instead of turning inwards to their center of spiritual wisdom and knowledge to learn the lessons that those situations were demonstrating, they have chosen to see themselves as victims of a predestined fate over which they have absolutely no influence. That choice has either led them into an overwhelming sense of apathy whereby they give their power away to others, or it has aroused intense anger leading them to the resolve to be in control of their lives, which seems to be an unachievable dream, and so they do their utmost to manipulate and control others. Thus a destructive series of symbiotic relationships has been established that have been ongoing throughout the eons of human life on Earth. The results of that are evident everywhere, from your most ancient history right up to the present. But your collective aim, the aim of every human before they incarnated, was to return to reality. Every one of you knew before you incarnated that the illusion was a dark, enthralling, and enchanting arena, an arena in which it was possible to believe without any doubt at all that you were alone and on your own for one brief life followed by death, decay, and then by final and irredeemable termination into utter blackness, nothingness, a void or abyss of excruciating terror. You invented gods to relieve you of this fearful knowledge, prayed to them, and offered them sacrifices in the hope that they might offer an escape from the inevitable, but all to no avail. No one ever returned from the dead to assuage your fears. Or so it seemed. However, as you well know, you have all had many Earth lives as an essential part of the process of awakening. The illusion is a place of intense darkness. There are areas where you can pretend that life is good, life is fine, or even life is acceptable. And yet no one can be unaware of the severe misery and suffering that billions are experiencing where absolute poverty or unceasing war is endemic. If you are honest with yourselves, it is apparent that many are inextricably caught in the trap of poverty and enslavement and the resultant suffering that is caused by the material needs and desires of those who live in the more advanced and industrialized nations. The apathetic ruled by the angry. That is, of course, an oversimplification. Nevertheless, over the eons, there have always been the advantaged and the disadvantaged, with the latter outnumbering the former by an order of magnitude. Over the last few decades this has become ever more apparent to those who would open their eyes, and now your collective consciousness has made the decision that this state of affairs is no longer permissible. This decision is the one that is leading you very rapidly forwards to your awakening. It means that you are collectively letting go of fear and embracing love. Love, reality, is the infinite energy field in which all that God creates has its eternal existence. Anything that is not in harmony with that energy field is unreal, illusory. Within the illusion, it is and always has been possible to experience that which is unloving, that which is in direct opposition to love, because that was its purpose, separation from God, your source, and His divine field of energy, where all exists in infinite peace, the peace that passeth understanding, harmony, and abundance. To awaken, you all have to release any hold or grasp you may have on aspects of yourselves that judge, condemn, envy, reject, or require restitution from another. The field of love enveloping you at this point in your evolution is as a direct result of the increasing awareness and desire among you for love to replace the horrors with which you are seemingly surrounded. It continues to intensify as ever larger numbers of you turn towards the light, turn inwards to uncover and accept your true feelings, feelings of love that have always been there, and which you are now allowing to express themselves. This return to love, the decision humanity has collectively made very recently to embrace love, is what is so effectively accelerating your homewards rush. You are rushing homewards, and nothing now stands in your way. Focus on the now moment and fill it with joy, with love, and with the desire to awaken, and bring it into being. You have limitless and abundant assistance from all in the spiritual realms. Your loving brother, Jesus.
Channel.
Alright, very nice message. Good message as always. Alright. So that brings us to our meditation for today. Alright, so let's go ahead and get to that. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Imagine all of your chakras are activated. Start with the top of your head. Indigo is the color, and imagine the light from the cosmos pouring down to your crown chakra. Imagine the energy moving down from there to the third eye. Imagine the color violet. Third eye is how you see through dimensions of space and time. The energy then moves down, further down to the throat chakra. Imagine the color blue. This is your center of communication. From there, the energy moves down to the heart chakra. Imagine the color green. And the energy continues to move down to the next chakra just below the rib cage, and there's yellow, the intellectual body. Down further to the navel, belly button. Imagine the color orange for the emotional chakra. And finally down to the base of the spine, the root chakra. Imagine the color red. And then the energy continues on. And there you are as a being of energy. Energy flows through from all directions as you move through this life. And as we feel this energy and move through life with this energy, we understand that at all times all we have to do is focus on our connection to our energetic source, and we re-energize ourselves. As we think about life on a daily basis, we remember and realize that the life and the propaganda of life is not about necessarily encouraging spiritual growth, but more about making sense of things in the business world. And so as we learn to look at life, when we realize that the most important thing is we have to take responsibility for our own learning, our own growth, our own evolution. And as we do so, we find that by being responsible for ourselves, we help others as well. Because in being responsible, we set the example. So let's just imagine us now sending out love from our heart chakra all around the planet. Love. And let that be enough for the course of this weekend, just to keep energizing the planet with love. This is the wave spell of the dog. It's the wave spell of love, so love is enough. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey. A journey of love, sending out love. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. There you go, my friends. That's it. We have made it through another week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your emails, your comments. Keep them coming. I really appreciate it. And have a great weekend. Just keep sending out love. It's the most important thing we could do. I know there's a lot of nonsense in the world, but send out the love, because sometimes the nonsense just comes from fear. We send out love, we counteract that. That's the name of the game. I'll talk to you on Monday. Have an awesome weekend. Love you. Peace. I'm out of here.
We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
That's it. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. I'm out of here.
Promise kept. Membership is not pay to learn. Not only is the information out there, but I am making my references publicly visible on the links page, aka I did your homework for you and put all the answers in one place. The only thing members get that you don't is my opinion, explanation, and of course, Xavier's animations. Folks, it's really never a bad thing when these stories are brought to light. This is as fair an article as you can hope for on the subject from the mainstream, on the heels of this story 2 weeks ago as well. Good news. All of these are linked at the drought portal via drought.gov, soil moisture, drought severity, standardized precipitation index, short-term trends, long-term trends, and a little animation of our last 12 drought looks to see that we're actually slightly improving. This storm simply refuses to go away. Meanwhile, in the Pacific, Gil is still trekking out west, path a bit unpredictable, might take off for Hawaii. India is on the landslide risk because of the torrential downpours. It's just that time of year. But also the warnings now abound in China and Vietnam as a tropical storm is about to dump massive rainfall onto the region. Island landfall is happening as we speak. That same high pressure settling in from the west while that low settles in over New Zealand, gaining the remnants leaving Tasmania. The convergence line remains firm in Europe with evident northward draw ahead of that low. This has got to be one heck of a heat wave building in Europe right now. U.S. shows concentration of low pressure in the central states, set to converge air from due north and due south. Remember in Braveheart when the sprinting lines of soldiers collide? Central states get to watch that from below. Folks, if you missed it yesterday, we needed a proper debunking of that story claiming a chunk of the sun had ripped off and was heading for Earth. If you are at all confused, this video will clear it up. And while I believe today would require attention turned to the CIA man's false story talking about nearly taking a kill shot at Earth 2 weeks ago, Dr. Tony Phillips beat me to the punch and did a little debunk of his own. Indeed, the sun is calm, has been calm, and that story was wrong. Thank you, Doctor. Solar wind? Calm again, calm as can be. KP index barely even giving us readings. Solar flaring? Still quiet. Some of the sunspots are in need of major development, while the central group appears trying to get some of that development underway. The mature region down south is gaining umbral size, but not as much magnetic mixing as it needs in the center. Looks like our big boy heading in up north lost some trailing umbras. Magnetic connectivity to our star is about the same as it was yesterday. Shifting to the umbral opening
to our space weather for today. Alright, space weather. Right here, 333.4 kilometers per second planetary K index. Between a 1 and a 2, coronal holes seem to be about like they were yesterday, just moving around a little bit. Flare possibility the same, 10% and 1%, and geomagnetic storm activity. I think it's gone up just a little bit, 5% in the upper latitudes, but that is about it. Now for a little bit more insight on what's going on with the weather and all this other good stuff. This is Suspicious Observers Report for today.
Good morning, folks. This is one of about a dozen available animations that go along with the newest from Goddard's Scientific Visualization Studio. The aim is to visualize and better understand the eye wall of tropical storms. Now, I've sped this way up, but I've linked the pages where you can download or watch these animations in real time. Terrific article discussing life where internal planetary heating warms the waters. This even discusses Europa and Enceladus. Website members who have seen Chapter 1 of Starwater will be smiling reading every word of this article. By the way,
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio to talk about all these things we're talking about. Is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Alright. Hello everybody. Good morning, Earthlings. It's time to demand the truth here at First Contact Radio. Let's start off with cosmic weather like we do each and every day right here. We're at the 2nd of August. 2nd of August, sun sign, Leo, fire sign, moon sign. 2 of them. Means void, of course, moon. So we look across to see at 11:29 p.m. the second sign, Cancer, will be taking over. So right now we're in Gemini. So the course of this day, we're transitioning from an air sign to a water sign, from what is in the head, those ideas, to the emotions, to the feelings. Okay, so just be aware as you're going forth into today, knowing that feelings come into play later on, so take care of the mental work early so you don't have to deal with the emotional problems later. No trines or no squares need to be concerned about. Next, moon phase, 16% full, making its way down to the new moon. Mayan Oracle, we're at a two-tone day. Two tones are called the lunar tones. Symbol for today is the monkey. Guide for today is the knight. So it would be the lunar monkey, guided by the knight. The star, like-minded energy, challenges the dragon. Monkey, hidden power for today. And monkey is also the wave spell, the theme of love, loyalty. That's what it's all about. I polarize in order to play, stabilizing illusion. I seal the process of magic with the lunar tone of challenge. I am guided by the power of abundance. A little more up. Let's see, jump over